You remember Rachel, the one allegedly in the middle of the Solange elevator beatdown. You know who Rachel is. Well, you didn't know this part.
Y'all forget what you thought you knew, because Rachel Roy really played the long game and won. While everyone was dragging her through the mud over that Becky with the good hair scandal, Rachel managed to walk away with exactly what she wanted, her fashion line still running. And even though she dipped from the drama the second she got with Damon Dash, she finessed him into investing in her brand, then left him high and dry the moment his pockets ran low. Folks have been calling her out for using him for years. But that didn't stop Rachel from securing the bag in the end. From bankruptcy scares to losing her luxury lifestyle, Rachel saw it all crumbling, but instead of folding, she pivoted. She went looking for another millionaire who could give her the same power, plugs, and perks Dame once gave her. And guess who it allegedly ended up being? Jay-Z. According to insiders and Rachel herself, she simply did what any woman in her position would have done. Let's unpack this chaos, y'all, because Rachel's backstory is wild. The first time Rachel Roy hit the scene was when she stepped out publicly with Damon Dash, and she bagged him fast. But Rachel had already been circling the baller rapper world for a minute. Before Dame, she was married to NBA player Yin Kader, but they split just before his death in 2004. Then came Dame in 2004, and they stayed married until 2009. But y'all, even before the wedding bells, their situationship was messy. It's looking like Rachel had her eye on Damon Dash for a while. And now, Dame and Jay-Z can't even sit in the same room, especially after the whole Rocawear fallout. But back in the day, when they were tight and the label was thriving, they were known for sharing women. That ain't even a rumor, it's facts. And word is, Rachel Roy was one of those women early on. She'd already made her way into their circle. But all of that shifted once Dame got serious with Aaliyah. He was obsessed with her, fully in love. Whatever he and Rachel had going on, dead. But Rachel didn't disappear. She and Dame had already had their daughter, Ava Dash, and she was locked in. So when Aaliyah tragically passed, guess who was still lingering in the background waiting for Dame to double back? Yep, Rachel Roy. And it wasn't long before they tied the knot. And baby, when I say people were shook by their relationship, I mean stunned. Folks who saw them together couldn't see any chemistry. They were baffled trying to figure out how Rachel managed to vibe with Dame's loud, erratic energy. But it didn't take long to see why she stuck around. Before locking in with Dame, Rachel had been hustling behind the scenes as a fashion intern, grinding hard for her big break. But to level up and become a true brand, she needed access, and Damon Dash had that in spades. He'd already built up Rocawear, worked on state property. C. Ronson, all of them doing well at the time. So once they got married, Rachel's glow was instant. She went from intern to fashion powerhouse. Everyone wore her clothes, from Michelle Obama and Oprah to Kate Hudson, Jennifer Garner, Eva Mendes, Kim Kardashian, and even Iman. And in the savage world of fashion, Rachel probably wouldn't have pulled that off without Damon Dash behind her. Her brand skyrocketed, but Dame, he started slipping financially. Out of nowhere, he went from mogul status to deep in debt, liquidating assets to cover the losses. Ask Dame, and he'll say he went broke chasing his dreams. But let's not forget, this was the same man who owned 2 Tribeca lofts, a London home, a Jersey mansion, and a Beverly Hills villa. Dude was balling and bleeding cash trying to save Rocawear while throwing money into flop ventures.
I would love to do the things Dame did. Fly private for 5 years straight. Buy 2 mansions in London. You got a mansion in London just for your niggas, and then a personal mansion in London for something else, or renting them or whatever. You just got mansions in London. We not even from London. We just going to fucking London, hanging out, not saying, I put on my artists, or really, more Jim and Jewels, but we was all Dipset, SAS, just out in London spending money. I would love to have 2 lofts in Tribeca right around the corner for each other. $20,000 for this loft, $20,000 for that loft around the corner. So you got $40,000 a month.
But Rachel, she didn't blink. While Dame was tangled in lawsuits and drowning in debt, she just added her own name to the stack, filing for divorce like it was just business. And get this, she wasn't even asking for spousal support, because at that point, Dame wasn't bringing anything to the table but baggage. Her brand was still standing strong, and she saw no reason to drag him along for the ride. So sis packed up, cut him off, and never looked back. But y'all, the minute her fashion empire hit a rough patch, guess who was suddenly back on the hunt for support? When her company started spiraling, Rachel allegedly started scrambling. According to multiple insiders, back in 2013, the Jones Group, who owned the majority of her label, claimed they were bleeding cash, losing millions from the deal. So they made a bold move. They planned to sell the Rachel Roy trademarks for $15 million just to recover the loss. Rachel moved quick. She lawyered up and dragged them to court to block the sale. Thankfully for her, it ended in a quiet settlement. But that didn't solve the bigger issue. She still couldn't afford the massive buyout price to reclaim full control of her business. She needed someone powerful, wealthy, and willing to back her again. And allegedly, that someone was none other than Jay-Z. Yep, the same Jay-Z she was rumored to have history with back when she was trying to break into fashion. And this, y'all, is where the tea gets boiling hot. Rumors of Jay-Z stepping out on Beyoncé. They go all the way back to 2013. And when Solange popped off on Jay-Z in that elevator, woo, it only added gasoline to the fire. Then Beyoncé dropped Lemonade in 2016 and shook the culture to its core. She basically confirmed what fans had suspected, that Jay had cheated with someone known as Becky with the good hair. And, of course, the internet started pointing fingers, but then Rachel stirred the pot even more by posting a shady selfie with the caption, "Good hair, don't care, but we'll take good lighting for selfies or self-truths anyway." Baby, that was it. That line sent the BeyHive into full-blown attack mode. Her comments were flooded with emojis, and people even edited her Wikipedia. The dragging was intense, but temporary, because somehow, some way, Rachel still came out on top. Her brand bounced back, her name faded from the headlines, and despite all the chaos, she always managed to land on her feet. These days, when folks bring up Jay-Z's cheating scandal, Rachel Roy's name barely makes the list, and maybe for her, that's the real win. Let's be honest, if Jay-Z hadn't cheated on a queen like Beyoncé, we might have never gotten one of the greatest albums of our time. But if he did cheat with Rachel Roy, then who? That's wild. Like he really betrayed Beyoncé for someone who looks like she works the fragrance counter at Macy's. But what do y'all think? After all these years, is Rachel Roy really the infamous Becky with the good hair? Drop your thoughts in the comments and don't forget to like, subscribe, and tap that bell. I'll catch y'all in the next one. Bye baddies.